Oh, hey, Jill here, and you're listening to Organized Chaos with Jill. I'm your host and mom of three, and this is the show where we chat all the mom things and then some. So grab your coffee or whatever it is that gets you through the day, and let's get to it. Hey guys, so yes, it is Friday, not Thursday. I was sick earlier in the week, just like a cold or something. And I had worked on recording this episode, and when I played it back to kind of look at the editing aspect of it, I sounded miserable, and I was like, no way, cannot put that out. So I did not want to get that episode out to you, but I also did not want a full week to go by again without a new episode. So I just decided, you know what, forget Thursday, we're coming at you on Friday, just this week. But yeah, so we're here, and without further ado, welcome to episode 9. We're talking birthdays today, partially because we just celebrated Anna's first birthday, which I am in denial. My baby is already 1. I don't even know how that happened because I swear I just blinked. And I know I've said that so many times. I've said that for every child. And they do say the days are long, but the years are short. And it is so true. So birthdays are fresh in my mind. But also, I have seen over and over again a lot online in like the Facebook mom groups, even talking about things with friends and other moms at playgroup and stuff. When it comes to birthdays, it's like this big giant stress when it comes to planning kids' birthdays. And I want to hopefully use this platform to show you that it doesn't need to be that stressful. I promise you. But, you know, we see these things online, these like lavish Pinterest birthdays, over the top at the great venues. Then there's like smash cake and a photo shoot and this, that, and the other thing. And it's overwhelming. Moms, we're overwhelmed as is. I say it a lot. And so, you know, it is so easy to play the comparison game, to look at these photos online and to see these amazing parties and feel like you have to do more or be more. And we don't necessarily. You can have an amazing party for your child, and it doesn't need to be crazy over the top expensive. It doesn't need to be at some great extravagant venue. You don't need to have it like 4-star, 5-star, Michelin star catered, anything like that. You certainly can if you want to. I'm not going to stop you, but I just want to use this today to talk about things that like you don't need to do that. There are a lot of resources, a lot of ideas, and I'm going to kind of share what we've done for our kids' birthdays in hopes to show you that it doesn't need to be over the top, to give some party planning ideas for you. I'll share the themes that we've done for all the kids' birthdays so far, and you know, maybe you could feel free to use one of them if you want, because I know we're always looking for a good birthday party theme. So that's what we're going to be doing. That's what we're going to be talking about today. And I think for me, I'm just going to start at the beginning. Obviously, when it comes to thinking about birthdays, it's thinking about the theme, right? Now, I love a good themed party. I love themed costumes. I loved themed everything. That's just how I am. And I think this is almost where the overwhelm starts, because there are so many great themes for birthdays, especially for young kids. And that's obviously what I'm going to be really talking about, because I don't really have experience planning older kids' birthdays. But when it comes to themes, picking a theme, you don't necessarily want to do what everybody's doing. What's all the rage? But you want to have a good theme, maybe one that's special to you, your family, has meaning, something like that. So I'll share what themes we've done, and maybe you'll get inspired. But once you have your theme, then we start to focus on who's coming, how many people are coming. Now, I will say that typically for us, it's usually just family, especially at this age, and a few friends that might have kids, or like one of my close friends doesn't have children, but she's my best friend in the world, so I always invite her. But I know that as kids do get a little bit older, or if they're in daycare and other activities or school, sometimes you have some school friends or some daycare friends or activity friends that you're bringing as well when you invite. So get your guest list, kind of get an idea of how many people you're having, and that's really how you can then build the rest of the party, right? So you have your rough number. It doesn't have to be exact. And then you want to decide kind of where you're having it. And you can even decide where you're having it before the number, because that might help break down the number if you're stuck. For us, so far, we've just had it in a family home. So we haven't had to worry about if meeting some places I think have minimums for parties, some, have a max and whatnot. So we've always kept it in the house. So for us right now, it's never been an issue on a cutoff number or it had to be a set number. But yeah, you want to get your number on that. And then from there, you can start thinking about the other things, the food, the cake, dessert, whatever. This is where people tend to spiral, I think. And especially for first birthdays, there's that smash cake. This is the first time your child's really experiencing cake, right? And I love that idea. For James, I made his cake, and I won't do that again because it was just so time consuming. But for William, I actually don't even think I had a separate smash cake. We used a cupcake. And then for Anna's, I did just buy a smaller cake than we had, so she could dig into it, whatever. She pet the frosting, really. That was about it. But yeah, so you get your smash cake, you think about cakes. Personally, I have always done cupcakes for birthday parties. And the reason being, I like their individual. I don't have to worry about cutting anything. They're just ready to go. But also, sometimes, you're ordering food if you're ordering the cake or cupcakes prior to knowing your final numbers. And some cakes and whatnot have because of the size, they only feed up to a certain amount, give or take. So sometimes you end up having to buy bigger and then you have all this leftover cake. Now, yes, it's so tempting to eat a cake, but I don't want a huge cake left over in my fridge. It's also easier if you have leftovers to send people home with cupcakes than having to cut pieces of cake and then you're putting them on plates. It's just a mess, right? So I personally like cupcakes, but again, do what works for you guys. And then food-wise, keep it simple. So we have done everything from having a local restaurant cater things to ordering deli trays to now I've just made my own deli trays just because financially it's so much easier. And another food thing that has become a staple of birthday parties for us because it's been such a huge hit is I throw a bunch of meatballs and sauce in a crock pot and I buy some small sub rolls. So it's not a massive sub. I get out cheese and people can make their own meatball subs if they want. If they don't want a sub, they can just eat the meatballs. It's just been a huge hit. So if you're coming to a birthday party at my house, chances are you're going to have some meatballs or a meatball sub. It's super easy. It's cheap. We get a BJ's bag of meatballs. So it's cost efficient and it feeds everyone and everyone's happy. So that's kind of my tidbit on food. And then when it comes to the invitations, the decorations, things like that, and this is where we see the Pinterest thing. I am not a Pinterest mom by any means. There are some really cool apps on your phone that can help you create things. I've made every invitation for my kids' birthday parties on an app, especially because we're in a world of technology now. So I'm usually just texting a picture to the invite to family or creating a Facebook group. I think that's what most people do now. So you can use things like Canva, or even just editing a photo and writing stuff on a picture of your child or something. There's things like that. It does not have to be crazy and it doesn't have to be elaborate. It can be cheap, free, these apps are free. So that has a template to help you go along with whatever theme you might choose. You'd be surprised what you can find online to do. Technology is insane these days. And then when it comes to decorations, you don't need to go crazy. And I'm telling myself that because I am somebody that wants a ton of decorations. But then realistically, where are you hanging all this stuff, right? Especially if you're in your home. Amazon is great for this because a lot of the times once you have your theme or a color scheme, whatever, you type in space birthday and you can get just a pack all in one. And it's got balloons, it's got banners, it's got a lot for the first birthday, have a thing where you can put a picture for each month that your child, 1 through 12, all that. And it's one and done decorations. So that's kind of been my go-to. And then sometimes you can do a little DIY things as well. I'll go a little bit into some DIY I did for some of the birthdays, but a little bit later. But yeah, so you have this opportunity to decorate, have fun. And again, it's not elaborate and crazy and big and expensive. It's just fun. And then I think the last real thing that we talk about when we think of a birthday party is the goodie bag. And for young kids especially, I think it's important that we don't need to go crazy with candy because they can't eat it, right? And as much as, yes, you might have, like, we have older cousins that come to the party and stuff like that, you don't need to cater to them because this is also your children. And my kids get their own goodie bag. I don't want them necessarily having a ton of candy. So yes, I do put candy and treats in them, but that isn't everything. You can find cool little toys and trinkets to go along with the theme. Again, Amazon, super great for stuff like that. And creating goodie bags. You don't have to go over the top with those either, and still have fun and still have a nice goodie bag. It doesn't need to, like, it could look elaborate and not necessarily cost too much, right? And my one final tidbit before we dive into me sharing a little bit more about, like, our kids' birthdays and the themes that we use for them, I want to talk about coming up with a time for your birthday. And I'm really speaking here to the parents with young children, because I think that, and I should say I know that because I see this online a lot when parents are starting to stress about when time should they have their child's birthday because of nap time and somebody else's nap time and this, that, and the other thing. My advice is focus on what works for you and your child and your family. I have seen a lot of people be like, well, I have to do it at this time because I have friends and their kid naps at this time, but then it might relate on this person's nap time. You're not going to please everybody. So do what works best for you, and whoever can come will come. Whoever wants to come can come. Worry about you. I have had people say no in the past because of nap time, or just didn't work out with their schedule. That's fine. You're not going to please everybody else's schedule. So do what works for you. If your little one naps at 10 o'clock, it does not make sense to have a party at 11 o'clock, right? So, because they're probably either still napping or just woke up and might not really be feeling party mode, we typically have always, I think every single party we've had for every one of our children has been at 1 o'clock. It just works for us. We always serve like a late lunch, kind of early dinner type thing, have dessert. And it gives leeway too, because I do have nieces and nephews that are in sport. So if it's a Saturday, they might have a game early in the morning, but they might be a little late to the party, but they still come. It's just a little bit more of a flexible time that works for us. Again, emphasizing here, be a little selfish, do what works for you and your family. That is totally okay. So now that we've kind of addressed the whole checklist of party planning in terms of finding your theme, making the invite, figuring out your count, your food, the goodie bags, the decorations, etc., I wanted to share a little bit about what we've done for themes. And kind of how we've come up with some of the themes. And maybe, feel free to use them if you want, or maybe it'll help you start to come up with themes for your little ones' birthdays in the future. And because it's fresh in my mind, I am going to backtrack a little bit and start with Anna's birthday. So we just had it literally this past Saturday. And because Anna is a fall birthday, I like to play into that as my theme. So we did our little pumpkin is turning 1. I already had a lot of pumpkin decor because I am a basic bee. I love pumpkin. I love fall. I love all the fall decorations. So that kind of helped, right? I always say I love that my kids have kind of different birthdays and different seasons, because I think you can use that to your advantage as well when you're playing and looking for a theme. It doesn't always have to be season related, but I definitely played on the fall theme for Anna's first birthday. When it came to, I guess I'll just go backwards from youngest to oldest. So when it came to William, for his first birthday, we did his first trip around the sun. We'd been really into space stuff. James had astronaut stuff. I don't know why, we were just talking space. And so to me, in my mind, it just seemed like a good theme. And again, it was at a family house. It was outside because he's the end of May. We just had a really nice weather. So yeah, we did first trip around the sun, decorated a little bit on the fence on his high chair, and it was pretty basic, nothing crazy. And then his second birthday, he was too cool, and doing two, like TWO. And it was just a fun, funky theme. I don't really know what made me think of it. Honestly, his might have just been a Google search for second birthday themes. And that was one that I found. I don't even know if I found that first. I think I found like Too Cute or something. And then I just wanted to play on that because I kind of liked the idea. So that's kind of how I found his theme. And then James has now had 3 birthdays. So James's first birthday was probably my favorite. My husband works for the post office, and we wanted to incorporate that into James's birthday. We have like a pop-up post office tent. We have a postal car that James can drive. Like, we've just already had the like post office stuff, toys. We have all my kids call them the paw truck, all the little mail trucks that we play with. So his was probably my favorite theme to date. And we did a first class birthday, like first class mail. And this is where I did do a little bit more DIY because it's not a super common theme. And so I will say you do have to get a little creative if you kind of pick an off-brand theme that you don't really see. When it came to his little cupcakes, I made signs, and I had like, for chocolate cupcakes, I did it like a certified mail receipt, and it was like certified chocolate, and I made it up in the app, and then I printed them and put them in little picture frames. I think my first class was just like first class vanilla. And then I had a red velvet cupcake, and I cannot for the life of me remember what mail analogy reference I used for red velvet, but I did. And I had made, again, like the receipt of what you would get at the post office for that. So that was really fun. And I used like mailboxes as, like shipping boxes as the cupcake stand. And then other than that, you kind of just went like red, white, and blue because that's the colors of the post office. And for this goodie bag, it was kind of cool because, other than that, I've always just found little toys, trinkets, like I said, to go along with the theme. But for this one, we actually gave everyone a stamp. I got little like notebooks and pens, and it was just like a cute little play on like writing mail, and things like that. So of course we did put candy, because what's a goodie bag without candy? But again, not a lot. So that was probably my most favorite theme. Feel free to steal it if you want to, or use that as inspiration if, you or your husband has a job that like you want to play that into it. And it can be anything, right? Like if you're a teacher, you could have a fun like classroom theme. Although if you're a teacher, maybe you don't want a classroom at home to like feel like you're still at work. I don't know. But or a construction worker or police. Like I know there's all the themes that you can play on that are, relevant to in occupation. So it's kind of a fun way to do it. For his second birthday, we did Bluey. And first of all, if you haven't seen Bluey, highly recommend if you have young kids. Totally love it. Kudos to my husband's coworker, because he's the one that introduced us to that show. He has a son that's just a little bit older than James. So we got into the Bluey there, but it's so much fun. So we did a Bluey theme for the second birthday. And that's another way to find themes. If there's a TV show or a movie that your kids like, that's a great way to find a theme, an easy theme, to play along with and go with for a birthday party. And then for James's third birthday, we did a 3-Rex, like a play on a T-Rex. So it was a little like dinosaur themed. We had so much fun with it because, boy, mom, dinos. I swear I'm already starting to think, because now James is the next birthday. He's in February, so I'm going to start thinking about the next theme for his 4th birthday. And I will say, like, after the first birthday, I really started to get the kids more involved. I will say, like, second year, still kind of picking the theme. But even just showing things on Amazon that I had found for, like, William's Too Cool theme, I would, like, show him, like, do you like that? Get them involved, because it's fun. As much as the parties, especially at young age, are really for the parents and stuff, a 1-year-old is not going to necessarily remember their birthday party. As they start to get older, it is fun to get them involved. For James's third, I think I had a few different themes that I played around with and asked him which one he wanted, and he chose the dinosaurs. So we had fun with that, and it just makes it a little bit more fun even in the party planning because they're involved. And then I think for them, it makes the party even more exciting, right? So those are the themes that we've done so far. Like I said at the beginning of this episode, my hope was really to help calm us down, talk you down off that ledge that you don't need a lavish Pinterest birthday. And I hope that maybe you've got some inspiration for themes. Maybe you got some ideas for food, or at least realizing you don't need to stress about things, especially when it comes to the time of your birthday, things like that. Be a little selfish if you need to be. This is the time that it's okay to be a little bit selfish, right? So I hope you enjoyed the episode. I hope you got a lot out of it. Now go enjoy some birthday cake, a cupcake, whatever your little heart desires. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next week. Be sure to like, follow, and share this podcast. And if you aren't already doing so, follow us on Instagram at Organized Chaos with Jill. We'll have all the latest updates, upcoming episodes, and more. Have a good day.
The best is yet to come.